Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Channel Your Light. Own Your Intuitive. I did not expect to be doing this message. However, it is very loud and clear signs and synchronicities, or how to know that you have encountered a divine feminine, they're saying a true divine feminine. So this is an interesting energy because it's not always the way it's perceived. This is both a confirmation for somebody about why you've experienced the things that you've experienced as a divine feminine, but this is also an indicator of encountering a divine feminine. And they're breaking down a divine feminine as in a divine feminine energy. This isn't about men and women. However, if you feel like you've encountered it in the gender aspect, place that where it fits in your story, but that's not what I'm tuning to here. I'm tuning to the divine feminine energy within. So some individuals on the earth plane embody so much divine feminine. Some embody so much divine masculine. And a divine feminine energy, somebody who's in a dominant divine feminine energy, they're like silk. And when I say that, they always show it to me as shades. It's like this divine feminine energy in its truest essence. It's like when you see this jagged mountain that's rough, it has all these edges, it's got stones and pebbles. It's not soft at all. It's hard, it's rocky, it's edgy, it's got all its angles. Yeah, it has some soft places that it's been worn onto, but it's like it's unbreakable until you meet a divine feminine. And a divine feminine, what I mean by this is she's like silk. It's like the magician who takes the silk fabric and lays it over top of the mountain. And as the silk goes over the mountain, notice that silk, when you look at silk, as it moves, it changes shades. Sometimes you'll see the shadow and the darkness of it. Then you'll see the light glistening. It softly changes colors through the array. I'm seeing it like, if you were to look at on another video, I was wearing a turquoise satin dress, and on it you can see where there's the shadows and the folds, but in the places that it's out in the open, it's this light and bright energy. So a divine feminine's energy will typically move itself like a blanket of silk over top of a mountain, surrounding down. It works and moves. It illuminates the light on it where it's reflecting it, but it also moves through the shadow of it. And by the time the divine feminine's energy slow burn is done working through that mountain, if you peeled away, or it's like the magician who takes the fabric off, if we take the silk off, the mountain it's a rubble of nothing. It's a rubble of nothing. And in its place, I'm seeing trees, butterflies. It's like, whoa, I didn't see that part coming because this isn't part of what it normally comes through as. However, they're saying that the divine feminine energy, here's how you know if you've been touched by divine feminine energy. You will feel like you can do anything. You will feel like you've had a piece of home that's just been found within you. You will feel suddenly so seen and so loved. However, in this process, the moments that a divine feminine energy touches you in the depths of you and sees you, this also illuminates all the shadows surrounding it, or the places where there's blockages, or the places where you haven't looked at yourself. So it's like this crazy experience of both feeling like you can do anything, like you're 10 times taller, and then in the next moment, seeing all these things that you dislike about yourself, or having something triggered, or an ego comes up. That's how you know you've encountered a divine feminine. They see you so deeply, and it's not even seeing you so deeply. They touch the divine core of you. And when they do that, it's not just about your light. They're also going to touch the core of you in the places that don't discomfort, is what I want to say. Oftentimes, people who encounter a divine feminine energy will misinterpret that loving, unconditional safety of being seen for something of a romantic nature. That happens a lot too. Here's what they're saying. The reason it gets mistaken for that is because a divine feminine energy is very intimate. It doesn't have any bullshit. It doesn't have any need to, what's the wording coming in there, Spirit? I'm not really sure how you want to say that. It's almost like because it touches you in such an intimate way that you can't help but feel that connection, because their energy, the frequency of them connects deeply with you. Also, this speaks to the evolution. It's often divine feminines that trigger spiritual awakenings in people when you encounter their frequency, right? So how this works is, we talk about moving to the highest timeline and ascending up. It's all about this idea of going up. And while that is a truth, when a divine feminine shows up and illuminates for you your highest timeline, like drops it into your consciousness, makes you aware of it, makes you see that you can do something else, makes you feel loved, makes you remember something so deeply intimate about the internal landscape of you, you naturally go down to the lowest level. And I don't mean the lowest level of who you are. What I mean is the very thing that's standing in the way of that highest light that they brought out in you. So divine feminine energy is often perceived, it's just this loving nature and you just feel wonderful and at home. And that is true. It's very true. But there's this other facet of it that gets mistaken, is misunderstood. There's a lot of facets of it, right? If your highest timeline, like sometimes people come from readings and we illuminate, here's your highest timeline, that's where you're going. If you choose to take that pathway, you can choose these other timelines. It's up to you. It's up to you. But if you choose the highest timeline, you're going to be presented with all the things in the depths of you that are in the way of getting there. If you can see the glass ceiling, you then need to look at what's in the way of the glass ceiling, if anything. So the deeper you go within the core of the self, the more expansive the light is, the higher you go, right? And it's the same with the divine feminine energy. Yeah, and listen, sometimes when you encounter a divine feminine energy, there's another aspect of it. Those that have done a lot of shadow work, those that have relinquished their ego, those who are not in a place of any type of a judgment, when they're touched by a divine feminine energy, something incredible happens. There's like this profound healing. It's like the mountain walls just naturally drop and fall. Sometimes it triggers deep emotion to be released in people. Sometimes it triggers deep love in other people. But a lot of times it's very misunderstood. And true divine feminine energy is not a common energy to find on this earth plane. It's an embodiment, and divine feminines, they know divine feminines. There are certain markers. They have a deep, profound love of divinity. They have a love of women. There's a gentleness and a tenderness, but there is also a ferocity that exists in them as well. And sometimes we think that a divine feminine doesn't have that ferocity, but in order for a divine feminine to step into her true essence, that typically is part of the path. So for those of you who feel like you should only be soft and you should only be gentle, this is for a divine feminine rising or arisen recently. There is a ferocity in the feminine energy, the feminine collective in its totality and all the aspects of it. A divine feminine is not afraid of the shadow. She's also not afraid of the light. She utilizes both of them. She honors both of them. She knows, it's like the yogini, right? The ability to not only unleash raw power, but also the ability to identify it and harness it and utilize it for alchemy and transformation. I don't know why I'm holding this stone, but I believe it's black kyanite. I could be wrong. Black kyanite. Sometimes it looks like shungite. Maybe you're using shungite. Maybe you're using black obsidian. Maybe you're using black tourmaline. It's a black stone. It's the darkness in all the things that exist on the earth plane. We don't know light if we don't know dark, and vice versa. All of these other different aspects. There's just this misunderstanding about a divine feminine, and we're coming right to they're showing me the hands of the divine is gifting a gift, hands open, an offering to you as a gift to the true divine feminine who is watching this, who has wondered why she has gone places and simply been who she is. And people have naturally been triggered. People's jealousy, people's ego, people one moment love you, and then for some reason these relationships begin to fall away, or people just fall away, or things don't work out. This message is for you so that you understand how people experience you. Okay, Spirit, they're saying, if you would like to know how someone experiences you, they feel this radiating, they see a reflection in themselves they have forgotten or didn't see before, or see the potential or didn't feel capable of. But in the moments that they experience that, that's their highest timeline. That's the higher frequency they're moving to. And when they move down back into the lower ones to address what needs to be removed to maintain it, they're saying it's because you're igniting something or activating something in their consciousness of a divine frequency that exists within them. You're just activating it the moment you engage with them. You bring a feeling, you bring a memory, you drop or open a place of the super consciousness into theirs, and then their process begins. So it's not a bad thing, but whoever this message is for, this divine feminine, we're sharing this with you so that you don't feel like it's you, or you don't understand why you're in those places. You're not there to establish these things with these people. You're there to activate their divine frequency simply by you being you. People falling away, being ejected from your life, or being repelled is actually a blessing in disguise. It allows you to repel the energies that are not aligned, or if you were to maintain that status quo, because they go back down into the denser frequency to begin that process of ascension into that higher frequency you activated. We don't want the divine feminine collective sitting down there with those people bearing the weight of it. Not because how do I explain that, Spirit? Somebody's going to misunderstand what I'm saying. That's what they're likely me tell you. Somebody is going to greatly misunderstand this message. And if you are misunderstanding it, I don't even feel like I need to go there. Either you get it or you don't. And if you don't get it, you will get it, right? If you misunderstand it, you're going to feel like it's an attack on you. You're going to feel like it'll trigger your ego, is what I'm hearing. Somebody's jealousy, envy, lack. The divine feminine will often trigger in others. Well, my hair is sticking to my plant right now. That's so funny. That's a message all unto itself. So perhaps it's somebody dealing with plants or something to that effect. I don't know. I'm just going to leave that over there. So somebody dealing with jealousy, lack, you may find as a divine feminine, they trigger jealousy in you, or feelings of unworthiness, or feeling like you haven't done enough, or they can trigger all these things in you. But the thing is the divine feminine isn't triggering you. So if you're triggered, or if you're misunderstanding pieces and parts of this, what's actually happened is you feel like someone triggered you. But the truth is you have just looked at something within you that's a shadow that's in the way of you stepping into your most divine frequency as well. It's not a question of being better than or less than. And I feel like this is a message for somebody who is on this path of a divine, whoa, this is for multiple people. Okay. Multiple people. Right now, as we move through this shift, a lot of shadow is illuminated. That's the truth. I believe that the moment that a shadow comes out into the light, it's an opportunity for us to love it, to see where it is, to see what's occurred, to see what's happened. When somebody shows up who's in their beautiful, radiant light, it is never an indicator that you're less than, ever, ever. It's an indicator of where you're going to, what you're capable of, who you are, the beauty of who you are. And this is so often misunderstood. We look at others, and if we see that somebody else is achieved something or is more than something, this thing in us gets triggered. So perhaps you've encountered a divine feminine. If you are a divine feminine, let me know in the comments. Did you need to hear this? Because my dear, you just keep going and shining your radiant, beautiful light. We're just sharing this higher dimensional perspective of what your role is as an embodiment of divine feminine energy, and some of the misunderstandings surrounding A, what a divine feminine energy is, B, what they evoke from people, C, how people feel about them. So there's all these different dynamics that play out. And I feel like I'm only touching on a few. And I feel like that's because on this channel, there are viewers who are true divine feminines, those who are on the path to embodying their true divine feminine, those who are looking at the shadow aspect of themselves, understanding that that is part of the divine feminine too, and dropping the niceties, dropping the need. I'm hearing, oh, it's so funny. I'm getting a reference to, I saw a thumbnail for somebody, stop being nice. Instead of being nice, be kind, right? Kindness is not about, I'm just going to be nice no matter what's happening. I'm going to make you feel better. A nicety means it's a surface level. I'm going to placate or I'm going to appease it. Whereas kindness sometimes is delivering the truth. That's the ultimate kindness, and doing it in a way that is compassionate, right? Not making it like blame, projection, all of these different things. And oftentimes what happens on this earth plane is we're all so involved with ourselves, and we also don't see ourselves, that we end up projecting at others when they reflect something to us or trigger something or show us a shadow within ourselves that we don't like. So oftentimes these dynamics with divine feminines, and I'm positive with divine masculines too, but in a very different way it happens when you encounter a divine masculine. However, divine masculines and divine feminines, they dissolve barriers. That means you're going to feel the barrier within you, that they are dissolving as it gets dissolved. And they're not dissolving the barrier for you or doing your work for you. They're touching your frequency where you're illuminating it. So in a time frame right now where so many people's shadows are coming up and out in the open, please have compassion, understanding that this is the separation that's always been there, the shadow that's always been there, hidden behind closed doors, that's finally coming out to be illuminated. This too shall pass, but we need to see clearly where the disorder is in order to create order. We need to dismantle the structures that don't work in order to build new structures. And this is a part that nobody wants to look at or nobody wants to deal with. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I get that. I've been there. I feel that too at times. But I also want to bring a revelation of peace, that this chaos that happens when you touch a divine feminine's energy, it has a ripple effect that illuminates the things that don't work. And sometimes people misperceive it and project it back onto the person who's activated. And that can be difficult for the person, like the divine feminine or divine masculine. I feel like we're kind of like, the energy is like, blah, 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 blah. That's what it just went to. And I feel like this is a testament to somebody that doesn't want to hear that message, doesn't care, or is being illuminated in a place that they don't want to look at themselves. And it's okay, friends. We all have places we don't want to look at ourselves. We all have places where we're like, oh, I was a little bit jealous there. We all have places where it's like, man, why doesn't that happen for me, right? We all have these things that we go through. My heart, I can feel whoever this is as I'm saying this, your heart chakra is going to open up. Nobody is ever an indicator of your failures or what you are not, or that you're not good enough. Nobody is ever an indicator of that. Low battery, somebody's running out of steam. That's that person running out of steam and fighting to preserve an ego. Somebody's running out of steam, fighting to preserve their own ego. It's exhausting. Everybody that shows up is not a reflection of your failure. That's not what they're showing you. They're showing you what you need to remove because they want you to succeed. So I just want to lean into that very tender energy, because sometimes the messages are very direct and there's a masculine tone. But then there's other times where there's this very feminine energy, like, friends, you can do anything. When you encounter a divine feminine energy, you're encountering it because you're about to go on your journey to do anything. So anytime you're feeling jealousy or lack, or like maybe you didn't do that, or why aren't you doing that? Because there's a lot of that happening right now. Have compassion for yourself. Don't project onto the people sharing messages. Don't project onto the person that suddenly you had this feeling of not being enough. They're your indicator you can do it. And if you, project onto them and step onto them to try and dim them down to make yourself feel better for a moment, you're missing the whole point. They're there to activate within you. You're about to do that too. I sometimes don't necessarily understand why people react the way that they do. And yet there are moments on my journey where I know that I've experienced that too. I've experienced like, well, why is that person doing that? And why is this? That is part of the journey too. And why are they doing that? Because they're showing me I can do it too. And when I'm willing to look at myself and say, well, why do I feel that way about that person? Why are they triggering me? Why am I angry at something about it? I'm not angry at them. They're not triggering me. There's something in me that feels like I'm not enough in those moments. And if I go there, says Chiron, I just identified what it is and I liberated it. And in this way, I have gratitude to that person who's standing up being all of who they are. So in this time frame where people are being triggered, if you're experiencing people being triggered by you or wondering why you're being ejected from timelines or people are rejecting you or you're feeling like you need to walk away from people, both and on both sides of the spectrum, it's you really recognizing and having compassion that everybody right now is probably looking at some kind of a shadow within them, and their response to you is not a reflection of you. It's a reaction to their own belief about themselves and how they perceive themselves, because most of them aren't responding to you. Most of them are reacting to you. Those that are able to respond to you will never project their own limitations onto you. That's the difference between reacting and responding, says Venus. Those who are able to respond to you rather than react, that's where you want to go. That's what you want to align with. That's what you want to ignite within the self. Those are the people that you know aren't going to project their shit onto you. But those who react, those who can't really see it, those who trigger their ego or their resistance or their barriers, those who are reacting is never a reflection of you, beautiful divine feminine. It is indeed a reflection of their own reaction to themselves. Let me know if you needed to hear this in the comments. I always love to hear how people respond, how if there's something that you needed to hear. I like to hear that because, sometimes when we're on this channel and I'm sharing messages, I don't always know who it's for. I just know that I'm supposed to share it and somebody's guides are coming through, or there's something from my journey I can share that might help somebody that's on it in the current moment. So let me know in the comments, friends, how you're doing during this shift, how you're feeling. Are you actually, is this a confirmation for somebody, bullseye in the room? This message or this, what I'm sharing through Venus right now, is intended to be a confirmation for you of things that you've been observing about your interactions and your relational dynamics and experiences with others. So perhaps you've been in the observing mode and you've been seeing these things or sensing them. This is indeed your confirmation that you are observing correctly. And in all ways, shapes, and forms, we evoke kindness with truth. And we also have compassion for others and wherever they are in our journey. And of course, we can't have compassion for others if we've not had compassion for ourselves. So having compassion for yourself allows you to have compassion for others. The degree to which you find empathy and compassion for your own journey and your own self is the degree to which you have the ability to have compassion for everybody else. And it's the same with empathy, right? It's the same with darkness and journeys. The degree to which you have delved into the depths of the self is the degree to which you are able to perceive others. It's just how it is, right? You perceive others, how you perceive yourself typically. And the more you perceive yourself, the greater the dynamics of your ability to perceive the different fractals of light being reflected in all their shades and forms from others, which allows you to find multiple perceptions for one color. And that gives you such a higher perspective. And that's really what a lot of the divine feminines are stepping into, this beautiful resonant energy. And it's a journey to get to it, friends. It doesn't just happen overnight, right? It's always been a journey that is, whew, it has a lot of different pathways. A divine feminine journey typically has a lot of different detours. There's a lot of reclaiming that happens in it. There's a lot of fires of transformation. There's many rebirths in the process. It's because, look at the word divine feminine, divine masculine. They have resurrected the divinity within them and discarded all the things that are no longer aligned with their divine truth or the authority of who they are or their essence. That's why it's called a divine feminine and a divine masculine. And we all have feminine energies within us, and we all have masculine, which is going to lead me into my next channel that I was writing about earlier today. So let me know, friends, if this resonated in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video. I'm sending you all much love.